Someone at dinner says, "Remember when we were kids?" And they light up. They've got the whole scene. The kitchen, what someone said on the porch, the feeling of one specific afternoon from 25 years ago, like it happened last week. And you nod along. You smile at the right moments. But inside, you're quietly searching for your own version of that day, and there's just nothing there to grab. It's not that the memory is fuzzy. Fuzzy would be fine. Fuzzy means it's in there somewhere. This is different. You go looking and there's a blank space. You know the facts. What town you lived in, the names, the dates, the dog. You just can't feel like you were ever there. You have the facts. You don't have the movie. By the end of this, you'll understand why your childhood feels more like a list of facts than a movie you can play back. And you'll see the one quiet thing it's been doing to your life, that you've probably never connected to it. There's a real reason for this. Most people assume forgetting your childhood means something went wrong in it. It's usually almost the opposite of that. So what's actually going on? You didn't lose your childhood. You just stored it differently. Most people keep their past like a video. You kept yours like a set of facts. You know what happened. You just can't play it back. You've probably felt this in a group. Friends start telling the story of some night out years ago, and everyone's adding pieces. The diner you ended up at, the song that was playing, and all you can really offer is, yeah, that was a fun night. You just can't add a single detail. And that's actually done some good things for you. You're really hard to pull back into the past. Someone else is still replaying an argument from 3 years ago, and you've already moved on. The people who remember everything in vivid detail also feel everything in vivid detail. You got to skip a lot of that. You're the one who shrugs and says, "I don't really think about it," and actually means it. So here's where it gets interesting. There are 3 ways this shows up in your life, and each one is a little stranger than the last. Here's the first one, and you've probably never noticed it. Your forgetting isn't random. Think about it. If you just lost your childhood, you'd lose it evenly. But that's not how it works. You can probably picture your old house perfectly, every room, where the light switches were, which stair creaked. But ask what actually happened in those rooms, and it goes blank. Same house, same brain. One stayed, the other didn't. So why did some things stay? Try it right now. Try to remember a specific birthday. Probably nothing, or just the photo. Now try to remember the sound of your grandmother's voice saying your name. That one probably lands. That's the pattern. You didn't keep the events. You kept the people. Anything with a strong feeling attached to it stays in your memory far longer than plain facts. And when you were a kid, the people were the feeling. Your memory quietly decided that a certain person's voice mattered more than your 10th birthday, and it kept that instead. There's actually a name for the strong version of this. Researchers call it severely deficient autobiographical memory, which is a long phrase for a simple thing. You keep the facts of your life, but you can't replay the moments. Most people aren't all the way there, but if this sounds familiar, you're somewhere on that scale. That's the first one. Here's the second, and it's a little strange. You don't really get nostalgic. Someone tears up at an old cartoon or goes quiet driving past their old school, and you're standing there feeling basically nothing. Not cold, just empty in that spot. It happens at the holidays too. Someone digs out the old home videos and the whole room goes soft, and you're watching a kid you know is supposed to be you, and it feels like watching a video of someone you've never met. And nobody ever asks why. You're not a cold person. You feel things now, today, plenty. So why does the past, specifically, leave you on the outside while everyone else is having a moment? Here's why, and it's simple. Nostalgia isn't really about the past. It's about getting to step back into it for a second and relive it. And research backs this up. The feeling runs on vivid scenes, the light in a room, a song, the people who were there, and you don't keep many of those. So there's nothing for it to grab onto. The upside is real, though. You don't sit around comparing today to some perfect version of the past. You see your actual life more clearly than most people do. And here's the third one, and most people never notice this about themselves. Have you ever noticed how easily you can become a different person? New city, new job, new group of friends, and you just reset. People who've known you a long time sometimes find it a little unsettling. You've probably had someone from your old life say, "You've completely changed," almost like an accusation. You just moved somewhere new and became whoever you are now, and the old version quietly fell away without you noticing. For most people, starting over is scary, so why isn't it scary for you? Here's the answer. When most people change, they have to leave behind an old version of themselves they clearly remember. They can feel it leaving, and it hurts a little. You don't feel that because you don't really remember the old you. So you just move forward. A lot of feeling like one steady person over the years comes from being able to replay who you used to be. You barely can. You were never stuck being the person you were at 6 because you can barely picture that person. So far this all sounds like freedom, and mostly it is. But there's one quiet cost, and this is the part I promised you. Being this good at facing forward isn't only freedom, sometimes it's just easier than looking back. You don't go back into those memories partly because you can't, and partly because not going back means you never have to deal with whatever's in there. And the same lightness that lets you leave the past behind lets you leave almost anything behind. A job, a city, a friendship, walked away from cleanly in a way that worries the people who love you. And it shows up with other people too. You're probably a great listener, but when someone asks about you, about your actual past, you give them the facts and not much else. Not because you're hiding, because you honestly can't reach the rest of it. People can feel that there's a part of you they never quite get to. Maybe someone close to you has said it out loud. I feel like I don't really know you. And it stings, because you're not trying to keep them out. You reach for the deeper stuff to hand over, and it just isn't there. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I'm saying it because you've probably half known it for years, and nobody ever said it out loud. And then you do what you always do. You let it go, and you keep moving. Here's a small moment you might recognize. You're holding an old photo of yourself, maybe 4 years old, sitting on someone's shoulders, squinting into the sun. And everyone says, "Oh, you loved that day." And you look at that little kid and feel this strange, gentle distance, like you're looking at a younger relative you care about but never actually met. You almost remember it. There's a flicker, and then it's gone, and it's just a photo again. So here's the truth this whole thing comes down to. People who don't remember their childhood aren't missing it. They just kept a different kind of memory. You kept the meaning instead of the moments. You kept the people instead of the dates. And it pointed you forward because forward was always easier than back. Your childhood didn't disappear. It turned into who you are now. You're the result. You just don't remember the steps that got you there. And maybe that's okay. Maybe you don't need to walk back through every old room to know that you came from somewhere and that it shaped you. Or maybe one day you'll get curious and go looking. There's no rush either way. But if you've ever quietly worried that you lost something everyone else got to keep, here's the part I want you to hear. You're not the only one. There are a lot of us, people who know the facts of their own lives but can't quite feel them, and who are doing just fine moving forward. You're in better company than the silence ever let you believe.